Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us today for our webinar with marketgoo, leveraging SEO tools to grow your business. My name is Dara Sweat. I am the social media coordinator for Localogy, and I will be your host for today's event. A few housekeeping items before we begin. This webinar is being recorded and will be circulated to all attendees with the presentation within 24 hours of the broadcast. Questions will be answered during the Q&A session at the end. You can, however, ask questions at any time during the broadcast. Just please use the question window on your control panel. Our speaker today is Larissa Morello from marketgoo, and we have Charles Laughlin, one of our Localogy analysts, to moderate as well. Larissa is the Senior Marketing Manager of marketgoo, and without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and pass this over to Larissa and Charles to get us started. Thank you so much.
Hi, this is Charles. Thanks for joining us today. Larissa, why don't you walk us through your presentation?
Great. Thank you. Thank you everyone for the intro, and for those of you who are coming in for this webinar on leveraging SEO tools to grow your business. So I'm going to dive right in. Today, my aim is really to provide you with useful information that is also actionable for anyone in the digital agency space, but also I think freelance web professionals who are feeling the pain points we're going to cover. You'll also come away with plenty of ideas. So whether you already offer SEO services to your customers or are thinking of doing so, then this is for you. So in the next half hour, 40 minutes, you're going to learn about using SEO tools to attract and retain your agency customers without high costs and, importantly, without in-house SEO expertise. And at the end of the webinar, I'm going to give you a link where you can download the case study we're going to go over today, as well as some other resources. So first, I'd like to start with why I want to speak about this topic today. And I think the best way to start is our company story. At marketgoo, we were about 8 or 9 years ago, we were founded in Spain, although now we're a fully remote company and we have a strong focus on developing a nice corporate culture. Our founders, who are pictured here, Vences and Jose Miguel, they come from the digital agency and web hosting industry. So that's at marketgoo, our core focus has been providing hosting companies and SMB providers, including agencies, with SEO solutions and tools that they can resell. So like I said, almost a decade ago, they observed that there was a gap in the market for SEO services. Small businesses relied on their websites and general online presence for success, and they still do, obviously, but managed SEO services were often considered too expensive for their budgets. They lacked sufficient SEO knowledge to take on the task themselves. And what we've learned through the years is that the agencies that serve SMBs also have trouble fulfilling that demand and reporting on the progress of a website, or reporting on the progress of the tasks that they're undertaking in order to improve a website. So Vences and Jose Miguel then created marketgoo with the vision of a product that would allow SMBs to improve their SEO without a large resource investment, both in terms of money and also time. Because I think all of us here, we know that small businesses just want to get their SEO in order so that they can go back to working on their core business. So hosting companies, SMB providers, and agencies want a way to fulfill that demand and enable their customers' online success. So that's what we focus on helping them achieve. Today, marketgoo works with over 25 large hosting companies all over the world that resell our SEO products, and also dozens of digital agencies reselling our SEO products to their customers, as well as using them to offer managed SEO services, improve their SEO reporting, and generating leads, segmenting them, and qualifying them. So now we can dive into what you all came for. Let's start with the how and why you should offer SEO to your clients. So SEO is one of the most demanded products that we see in the hosting and SMB provider space. So small businesses are often well aware that they need SEO, even at the moment they sign up for a hosting plan or even just for a domain. One of their first questions will be, how do I get found? If you're a web professional or a web designer who's setting up their website, you will also get that question, how do I get to page 1 of Google? How do I appear among the first results in search? When people search for related services. But there's a lot of confusion around what it means for them. How exactly are they going to work on it? What the results are, and really what the return on investment is. And we see this not only from market data, but the success metrics of our own partners. So on average, using our own SEO tool as an example, we see an attachment rate of anywhere from 7 to 15% when it's offered in the order flow or registration flow. And when we speak to these users about their choice of SEO tool, they say that, you know, with all the options out there, because there are really a ton of options out there in terms of SEO, they feel comfortable choosing something from their current hosting provider as they trust the service. And really the same can be said for agencies or web professionals. They already have their customers already have a high level of trust in them, and so any offering or recommendation that comes from them is going to go a long way. So offering SEO solutions don't not only increase the average spend per user, but they also act as a strong differentiator with a lock-in effect. And here we have some interesting stats for SEO as it relates to SMB behavior, what we've been talking about so far. Around 40% of SMBs get marketing services from their website provider. That also includes email services, and you know, whenever you're signing up for a website or a domain, you'll get a lot of add-on options. That's what we're referring to here. They also have a greater propensity to buy from their providers, because a lot of us, you know, consumers in general, if we have a one-stop shop that's offering us SEO, email, domain hosting, it's just easier to get everything from a single provider than to be shopping individually for different ones. And of course, SEOs, the interest that there is in SEO is also because it's just aligned with web presence. It's a natural step after you get your domain, you build your website, you obviously want to increase your traffic. And finally, we found that selling an SMB one product has a retention rate of only 30% after 2 years. But if you sell them more than just one product, that increases retention nearly 20%. And while selling an SMB 4 products shows a retention rate of 80%. So that kind of it's a strong differentiator that also has a lock-in effect. You know, the more you sell them, obviously, the more that they're going to want to stay with you. We do have a page dedicated to SEO stats just like this, which we'll share at the end of the resources section. And of course, for all you Localogy members, you know that we can get a ton of relevant data about SMB behavior as well in the portal. So basically, why should you offer SEO? Okay, so there are many reasons, but we'll focus on 2 here. First of all, small businesses need help with SEO. Probably most of us here today can recall multiple occasions when clients or prospects inquire about getting help to being found on search engines like Google, wondering why their local competitors are ranking better, and because they already know that it's one of the best ways to get new business. So as I mentioned, we see not only a high attachment rate, but also retained customers, and SEO can still be a strong differentiator when you add it to your services.
Hey, Larissa, just a quick question there. You
Yes.
mentioned that, you know, only, I think it was 55% don't include local search optimization in their SEO strategies. It might be helpful to emphasize what the consequence of not doing that is for a small business.
Right. So, well, local SEO is steadily becoming more important because there has been that, like, year over year, there's always an increase in searches in local searches that include the near me modifier. So pet shops near me, barbers near me, those kind of searches. And with local SEO, people who search for this can see a business name, contact information, hours, reviews, etc. So basically, if you don't give local SEO attention, that can result on your visibility dropping. Because if you don't focus on Google My Business, your citations, consistency across your citations, your visibility in the local pack, in the Google My Business listing, and even in organic results can drop. And then you won't be featured as prominently, and therefore you will miss out on that traffic and possible conversions that you could get had you focused on local.
Right. Thanks.
Okay. So how does all this come together, and how can you use SEO tools, and which ones specifically, to attract and retain your customers without the super high costs and without in-house SEO expertise? So the 3 points you see here are no secret, but somehow we see that they seem to be forgotten by a lot of the SMB providers we talk to. So first, you don't need to grow your sales or fulfillment teams in order to start offering SEO or fulfilling SEO needs for your customers. We've talked to a lot of digital marketing agencies, and often they're hesitant to offer these services because they really don't believe that they have the bandwidth to be auditing a site's SEO, outlining a plan, and on top of that, figuring out what tasks they have to do for a website, and then reporting that progress to a client. Second, you do not need advanced SEO expertise. This is another one we hear a lot. So throughout our decade experience dealing with SMBs, a huge segment of that market does not yet need advanced SEO or enterprise level SEO tactics or tools. And tools such as marketgoo, but we're not the only one, they have instructions in order to help you. You know, you don't need to be an SEO strategist or an enterprise level SEO consultant in order to be able to help your clients improve their SEO. And number three, you don't necessarily need to put in manual work in order to get more leads or higher quality leads. So what I mean here is that by using SEO tools the right way, you can automate a lot of things and do away with poor list segmentation and targeting. You don't need to, so if you decide to start offering SEO, you don't need to go out and find a bunch of prospects who are actively searching for an agency that can provide it. Likewise, if you're a web hosting provider, you can leverage these tools to target high quality customers or leads without putting in more time than you do now. So if you look at these three things, if this is real, you know, do you think it would make things easier for you? It would definitely make a difference, right? And we actually know for sure it can be done. And that's the story I'm going to tell you about today. So first, let's go over, let's set the stage with the challenges that we see SMB providers have with selling SEO tools in the first place. So one of the challenges obviously are the objections and pushback that they get from clients or leads. SEO is confusing, it's super technical, I could never do it on my own. It's not clear what the ROI is. I'm paying for all these tools. You know, they spit back a lot of information, but what exactly is their ROI here? Are they going to do the work for me? Do I have to do all the work on top of my day job? And of course, it's considered expensive, even though, you know, relatively it might not be. To get a tool that helps guide you through doing SEO yourself could be considered expensive, but in reality, it's going to be more expensive in the long run if you don't take care of your SEO, right? So that leads us to customer expectations, objections, and also lack of in-house expertise as the main challenges. So the expectations, like I said, they're always a challenge because people want to see their page as the first results on search engine rankings. They want to pay today and get results tomorrow. They may feel it's too expensive or not. Even though traffic is important, it's not seen as such an essential item as, for instance, you know, renewing your domain or certain plugins, security plugins for your site. It's not seen as that essential, and therefore there are, you know, people who consider it quite expensive. I think this is a common objection. And of course, another challenge when you're selling SEO is if you have a lack of in-house SEO expertise, you may be nervous to offer it, of course, because you think you might not be able to fulfill it. But the truth is that especially most small businesses and newish websites that are first starting out, most of them are lacking the basic SEO. You know, they're not lacking super advanced things. They don't even have the basics right, or they need help getting off the ground. And that's where you can really make a difference. And for agencies specifically and web pros, which we see, you know, freelancers who also help people with their websites, or web designers who want to start offering this service as well. We see that they have a challenge in reporting on website improvements and progress. So by this, I mean that they're doing a lot of work trying to improve a site's SEO, the site speed, responsiveness, but they have trouble kind of explaining to their clients exactly what they've done and what the tangible results are for all this work and all these hours they're putting in. Also, we found that the time spent on individual accounts So for each client, they have to spend a lot of time kind of explaining what they're doing, explaining SEO in general, and they spend a lot of time on the phone with them. And finally, by talking to a lot of agencies, we've also found that their lead lists are often not properly segmented. So they spend a lot of time trying to go through them manually, and they end up with poor quality leads that that they have to sift through, instead of working with lead lists that are properly segmented, very well targeted, and where pain points have already been identified for each of the leads.
Hey, Larissa, quick interruption. I'm sorry. You mentioned agencies and freelancers and so on. Are those the channels you exclusively work with, or do you work with other types of channels, and maybe do they have similar challenges?
Right, so like I mentioned, web hosting providers have definitely been a main focus for the majority of our lifetime. But right now we found, as you'll see later on, that we can really serve any kind of SMB provider, because they can all benefit from offering SEO tools. So I'd say that the majority of them have challenges similar to the ones I'm talking about here, in higher or lesser degree, but definitely, especially the objections, and the hesitation of whether they should go ahead and offer it if they don't have that expertise. Basically anyone, yeah. Everyone can. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they'll benefit from offering SEO tools, and also using SEO data in general to expand their business. Okay, so let's dig into the story I've been previewing. So this case study is about Be Digital, which is a Spanish agency. So I'm going to tell you a bit about them. Be Digital is the leading company in digitalization technology solutions for SMBs and self-employed people or freelancers in Spain. Their core activity consists of defining and improving the online presence of its clients, creating their website, social profiles, as well as generating quality traffic and providing them with online sales options. So, of course, with the end goal of helping them grow their business. So if you work in this space, the scope of their services will sound familiar. The company has been adapted to changing consumer habits. For instance, it started out as the main search engine for users and small businesses before the internet even existed, with Yellow Pages. And it's turned into a digital services platform capable of interconnecting users and SMBs. So it went from literally the Yellow Pages book to the leading agency in Spain. That's no small feat, and they are very successful doing it. So why exactly did they need SEO tools? Well, they were looking to get integrated SEO reports to enhance their customer offerings in general, to improve their product portfolio. And they reached out to us for a long-term partnership. So since SEO reports are our bread and butter and the value they add to the customer is very straightforward, that was very clear for us. It was like their challenge was clear, but it wasn't the only issue or challenge that they were facing. So what we found, and they also talked to us about, was that their sales reps were spending too much time manually sourcing leads, and when they had these leads, they were still poorly segmented, and they weren't all very high quality. So that it was a huge time suck. Second, they didn't have a clear, definitive list of individual website pain points for prospective clients, and they had a difficult time creating well-targeted campaigns, or even identifying which of their products would be a good fit for the prospect. So they'd get on a phone call with a lead, and then they wouldn't they couldn't really refine or personalize their pitch to a certain degree because they didn't have information on this person's website and their pain points. And finally, account managers were spending a lot of time personally explaining website progress and results, which is what I mentioned a bit earlier. They spending hours with a single client trying to go over everything you've done and what the ROI is on your SEO actions. So, and they had to do all that besides addressing client needs, questions, and concerns regarding their website. So probably, or maybe some of these challenges will sound familiar to you. So we worked together with them on getting them to leverage SEO tools to address these issues. So how did we do this? Well, here, so first of all, they white labeled the SEO app that we offer. So the SEO app here, you'll see a small screenshot, and I'll actually show you the app in a bit. This obviously for partners is white labeled. Here you can see our logo, but the colors and the logos can change depending on what your brand identity is. So by reselling this app, white labeled app to their customers, they offer them an SEO plan, step-by-step instructions, a monthly progress report, easy competitor research and monitoring, which means you enter your competitor's domain and you can see how many backlinks they have, what keywords they're ranking for, and kind of reverse engineer what you can also do to beat them in rankings. Same with keyword research and monitoring. And individual page optimization, which means matching each post or page of your site to an individual keyword and then optimizing for that keyword. So the way it works is it scans the website to detect any SEO issues and areas of improvement. Then it generates an action plan or SEO plan with step-by-step instructions to guide the user in improving every single issue that was detected. And then it tracks SEO performance. So you can see, every bi-weekly or 3-month progress, 6-month progress of your SEO score, of the number of backlinks you have, how your keywords are doing. So you can really see a connection between the work you or your agency or freelancer is doing and the results that you see in the report. You can also, like I said, monitor backlinks, competitors, and keywords. And in the basic package, all this is customizable per partner, right? Whether or not they want to, what they want to show in the SEO plan, how many keywords each user can monitor. But as a user, this is what you get. And also, if you can also fulfill SEO services this way, right? So maybe you don't know that much about SEO, but if you're getting this guide that's telling you this is what's wrong with your client's website, these are all the issues, and this is how you fix them. It also enables you to make a difference on your client's website. So I'm going to show you just a few screenshots of what the app looks like. You can track keywords and backlinks, like you can see month by month. You can also get an emailed report by email, and you can either get it yourself and then you present it and explain it to your customer, or end user gets it directly in their inbox every month. And you can see how your position in search engines is evolving, as well as your backlinks. So like I said, this is a really good way that agencies can have something to show for all the work they're doing in a really easy to consume report for the end user. So you can straight away just forward this report to your end user, and they, like we'll see with the case with Be Digital, their end users are so satisfied with it, they have zero questions. They just understand everything that's being digested for them in the report. This is an example of competitor tracking. So you can see it's color coded, but you can see more or less how many, we know backlinks are an important ranking factor for SEO. So you can see which of your competitors are really doing better than you in terms of backlinks, and how many more or less you'd need to aim for in order to beat them or to get a similar backlink profile. Here we have, so I know I'm talking about end users and agencies, like I'm going back and forth, but basically this is because the app, the SEO marketgoo's SEO app is really useful for both markets. So here I'm going to tell you a bit about one of our success cases as an end user. Heather Fiji has a website called Music for Young Violinists. She's a music teacher, and she was actually only using marketgoo for 3 months, about 30 sessions on the tool. She was tracking the limit of 20 keywords, and she saw a drastic change. She said, my website traffic more than doubled in a few weeks after implementing marketgoo. So when you can see she had almost double ranked keywords, she gained a lot of new backlinks, and in the top 20 Google results, so in the first 2 pages of Google, she had more keywords. So this is just to show you that it's important to set clients' expectations about how long SEO takes to work. And it also depends on a lot of factors, which we'll also see later, on how long it will take to see results. But you can absolutely, if your website just has a few technical errors, or there are just certain things that you need to change, like Heather saw, 3 months, she already saw a drastic change. So that's absolutely possible. But having said that, I think it's always important to prepare your, set clear expectations and prepare your customers to not see results, in a week or a month. Because like everyone says, SEO is a marathon, it's not a sprint. So it's important to keep those expectations in check. So this is the website report that I was talking about earlier. The agency Be Digital, they were able to fulfill managed SEO services by using the app I've just showed you. But the website report is also interesting for them because, as you can see here, so this is the regular MarketgooO report, and this is the white label report that can be customized by the partner. So it can show different data points or less data. We can personalize the call to action. So it can be, maybe the call to action is ask us for a quote or contact us for a quote. It can be directly to to upsell the lead to one of your services. Like you can get very creative with these reports. So right now I'm going to show you what one actually looks like here. So for instance, this is a typical report where you can see the score, and you have like a lot of metadata here about what day it was generated, what the target country is, because that will influence your keywords, obviously, and you can download it as a PDF as well. You can also share it via email, social media, or just run another report. This is also customizable because plenty of partners, they don't want unlimited reports, right? They want someone to run a report and then contact them in order to be able to take them into the next step of the funnel. So as you see, there are plenty of data points such as traffic, visitors. We can already tell them what keywords are giving them more results. So in this example, someone's already in position number 1 and has plenty of monthly searches, so they're doing well there. So this provides, as you can see, a ton of value for the end user, but it can also serve as a lead generator for you, for your SEO services or for your agency in general. If you present them with this free report, and the CTA improve your results, they're going to want to get back to you and say, okay, how can I improve on all the issues that have been identified in this free report? Like, I want to fix these issues, how can you help me? And finally, it can also be used internally. So sometimes Be Digital also uses these reports internally in order to prepare their sales reps or account managers for calls. So imagine what a difference it makes to be able to get on a call and directly tell this website owner, look, we know how many visitors you have, we know what keywords are working for you, we know you have or do not have an SSL certificate, your website is slow on mobile, you have problems with your images. So the end user may not necessarily be looking at this report, but this really empowers sales reps and account executives to show them what's going on with their site, right? You can, responsiveness is big, a lot of websites aren't prepared for mobile either because they're not responsive or because they do not load quickly enough. And here you even know exactly how long it takes for someone's site to load. And we also have a section on backlinks on popularity, and a social section. As I said, all this can be customized for partners, but if you're not going, later we'll explain, sometimes you don't have the volume to do an integration and really personalize this, but these standard reports are more than enough to really upsell, cross-sell, generate leads, and also empower your people in-house to really know all they can about accounts or leads. So like I said, for instance, here with the SSL certificate or quickly loading, this also enables you to, if someone doesn't have an SSL certificate, you can upsell them to cross-sell an SSL certificate. Same for caching solutions or to provide your services in order to improve a website's loading time. So here, the possibilities really are endless here. So this is an example of Be Digital's customized report. It's in Spanish, of course, but you can see how they've personalized the branding and also the data they're showing. So of course, we're not the only ones. Like I said, we're not the only ones who offer SEO tools. I think you can find plenty of SEO reports, but we really believe that our reports are some of the ones that contain the richest information, the most actionable ones. And we made this report in mind not only for the end user, but also for people who use these reports to generate business for themselves, right? So let me go back to the slides, sorry. Okay, so that's it for the report. So there are those three different ways that Be Digital has improved their business by using the free report. So here, the commercial manager of the agency says an automated SEO report. So no one even has to press send, right? All this is automated. They send it out monthly, and it validates the work we've done for the client by showing clear progress every month. This has helped us improve client retention. So remember, you don't need to add more salespeople or do more manual work of like emailing your customers. Like this can be entirely automated. So another way that Be Digital leverages SEO tools to improve their business is this. So what we call tier 0, or we also call it our data. At its core, it's a data solution. So as you know, as I've said, we constantly collect data from our users' websites by using our crawling platform. So this data is used in our app to help users with actionable advice they can improve their SEO. It's used in the free report you just saw. But the use cases of the data really go beyond just a user interface or an app or a plugin. It's really being able to leverage that data to improve our partners' product experience. It creates more upsell opportunities, and it gives you more predictable information. So what I'm describing here is a very powerful data solution that leverages our own data API. So this data API has multiple endpoints. They're all SEO data points like SEO score, number of backlinks, when was the last time that your website refreshed its content, which we'll go over each data point in a bit. But basically, with access to these multiple data points, you get accurate website data at scale, and you're not confined to a single interface. You're not confined to, oh, I can only give them this report, or I can only send this email. You can really it's like you can choose and build whatever presentation of these SEO data points you want. You can build them into a dashboard to use in-house for your sales reps. You can build a dashboard for your clients that shows their SEO score, or their most urgent SEO issues that they need to take care of, or that you need to take care of for them. So since it's decoupled from this interface, you can really present them however you like, depending on your goals. So how it works is we provide the partner with API access credentials and all the related integration documentation, and they call the API to provision or remove the service for every website. And marketgoo then runs scans on websites and makes all the data points available to the partner in a matter of seconds. So we can go through some of the data points that are available by exploring the most common use cases, and then I'll explain to you what you're seeing on the screen right now. So like I said, the SEO score, which you saw inside the app, is also in our plugin, is also in the report. Individual audit scores for each section, so you can have a content score, an on-page SEO score that are individual, a website thumbnail that you can also present any way you want as part of the report. And we also audit the website on performance and other site-wide issues. So if a site is indexed, for instance, if someone has a very new website, they want to know, oh, is this appearing already? Is it indexed by Google, by Bing, Yahoo? We can check for that. The loading time, whether they have an SSL, a sitemap, how many programming errors they have, which you or they will have to address. If there are any broken links, whether they're on WordPress, Weebly, Squarespace, whatever CMS they're using, you can also detect that, and you can also use that in order to better serve them or upsell or cross-sell any of your products. Whether they have Google Analytics installed, whether they have what email service provider they're using, and a number of standard technologies and libraries. And add to that the regular, better descriptions, duplicate content, title length checks, and site-wide checks and warnings like alt images, outbound links, etc. So a ton of that stuff related to on-page SEO. And also, like I mentioned, the number of days since the website was last updated, the existence of a blog, etc., and mobile. So what you're seeing here is basically an example of what you can do with this. In this example, let me just show you another tab. So tier 0, our data API, gave us this information, domain, email, and SEO score, how many days ago they last updated their content, and whether their SEO score is classified as medium, high, low, etc. And then our partner was able to just create an email, automate an email that already pulled for leads, that pulled all this information through. So they knew the score was 29 or 30 or something. They knew it was a low score, and they already populated this with all that data points, and that really personalized an email to a lead that otherwise would have just said, oh, well, you need to work on your SEO. No, here we're actually telling them exactly what's wrong with their site. It's a personalized email. It can be personalized as well with their domain name, with the client's or prospect's first name, how many days ago they last added content to their site or updated their site. And this allows, in this case, this partner was selling managed content services and links, backlinks, and they're able to really customize that offer for, so, they know this website actually has issues with backlinks and content freshness, and that's how they're going to get their sale. So this is actually only one of the ways to use the data API. The way Be Digital uses it as well is to construct their own kind of website report. So not the one you just saw, but kind of one that's populated directly from the API with all the data points they want, that they can also use internally in order to empower their sales reps and account executives to have all the information they need on each account by just looking at the SEO report. So what was the outcome of using this, this mishmash of SEO tools and SEO data? Well, first of all, the first thing they told us was that their customer loyalty had boomed. Not all of their account managers had SEO knowledge, and they used the marketgoo SEO report, the report they built from our API that I just mentioned, in order to engage in successful consultative sales, right? Identifying the exact pain points that clients have based on their website SEO status. So that they can really prove that they know what's going on with their client site, and also propose and execute on tasks to improve the SEO performance of websites. And when I show you the app, you'll see each task has step-by-step instructions, so you don't need to start from scratch or wonder what you're going to do to fulfill a certain task that may seem a little technical. It's all laid out for you in the SEO plan. The fulfillment team can also successfully serve a client with a clear picture of websites that need the most help, since an SEO plan is automatically generated and customized for each website. They know exactly where to start, and it's divided by sections, right? So they can work on mobile, they can work on page, they can work on backlinks, all with the blueprint that's provided to them by the app. On the sales side, they found that the website report was an effective differentiator between Be Digital's tiered plans. So what that means is that they had different tiers, for managed services, and just by adding the website report to one of their tiers, it was extremely effective in getting people to upgrade. So what they found is their clients, not only they, but their clients really value this SEO progress report that's easy to read. Like I mentioned, lead segmentation was big. They used marketgoo to run massive scans on lead lists that they already had, so they didn't have to go out and get some more. And this enabled them to easily detect and segment their leads, and really reduce the time that sales reps took to do all this manual or rote work, like going through lists and updating them. And finally, like I mentioned, the Be Digital website offers a white labeled free SEO reports to generate leads, where people can type in their website URL, target country, and any other number of fields that the partner decides to include, maybe name and anything else. And there they generate their SEO report. In this case, it's free. It's an SEO audit that then they can tell them, if you want to actually fix these issues, just click here and we'll give you a call, fill out this form, and the that's how their lead is generated, which has probably a higher intent to spend if they click on that CTA, right? They know they have these issues. They know that this is a service offered by the agency. So it's a high quality lead. Oh, sorry. So on the time savings hand, Digital told us that before using MarketGoo, their sales rep would spend up to 2 hours a day sourcing and segmenting these lead lists. So once they started using MarketGoo, that process was automated in its entirety, and their sales reps can focus on what they actually want to do, which is get on the phone. And also meaningful calls. So I think all of us, every agency, every freelancer has their own measure of kind of what has their own funnel built on all the steps people have to take before they make a close. And one of those for some of us is meaningful calls. So before they integrated, MarketGoo was one of the main tools used to segment their market. Sales reps had about 35% meaningful calls, which they classify as calls over 1 minute with a prospect. And after they started using the report and really informing themselves of all the website's pain points before the call, it went up to 65% meaningful calls. Finally, on the resources side, it helped them with lower overhead. There's less work for account managers, thanks again to the monthly SEO report. And it brings down the average time they spend on each client to 15 minutes per month. This is related to what I said earlier about that the SEO report is so easy to read but for both account managers and the end user alike, that it requires very little additional explanation. It's all right there in the report. And they stated that this monthly report helped them double client retention. And here our partner themselves said, customer satisfaction with the monthly SEO report is so high that clients usually do not require any further explanations from account managers. And it increases the number of clients that account managers can attend to, right? So if before you're taking 2 hours per customer and then suddenly it's reduced to a number of minutes that you have to be on the phone with them, it really helps them attend more individual clients' accounts. So like I said, offering SEO or using SEO tools does not mean that you have to hire more people or hire different expertise. So that's our story with Be Digital. I'm including a lot of links because the case study we've just gone over today is in a long form format on our site, which you have here. We also have SEO articles from our blog, the SEO statistics page I mentioned. And so I've been talking a lot about agencies, pros, web hosting companies. How can you resell if you're maybe a smaller or you don't have the resources to integrate, or you don't want to commit before really know what it's about? You can check us out on WHMCS if you're a hosting reseller, or if you're an agency, we're also on Vendasta, and they have all these flows already set up for you to be able to resell with practically one click. So there's definitely a solution for everyone. Even if you're not very big, you can still start selling SEO services for sure. And finally, please reach out to us. I know that we can never get enough information as we want into a single presentation, but please feel free to either email me personally or partners@marketgoo.com. Visit our website. We're happy to chat and to answer. And if you're watching this on demand later, if you have any question comes up, please just drop us a line. We'll be happy to respond to you, to chat, set up a call, zero commitment. And that's about it.
Great presentation. So I have a couple of questions that have trickled in, and well, one of them you sort of addressed, but maybe you could elaborate on. Maybe there's some best practices around this notion of SEO taking time to work. You said it's a marathon, not a sprint, I believe. And someone just said, the question was, how do you convince small businesses to be patient and wait for the results?
Right, that's a great question. And I think it's one of, if not the most common objection, right, besides price. So like I said, I think, well, one of the things I said, which I would reiterate, is the most important thing is setting expectations, especially about these ideas that customers or leads often have about getting onto page 1. or like, beating all their competitors. It depends on a lot of factors. So I think it's important to set expectations and clear ROI goals from the get-go. So maybe they want, okay, so they're clear, what they really want is to get more traffic, or what they really want is to see their website on number one, page one. I think in general, what will dictate whether or not it takes longer to see some results are obviously budget, but also how competitive their space is, for sure. Their domain authority isn't an official SEO ranking factor, but we take it into account to kind of gauge a website's popularity and ranking. How many, their backlink profile, how many inbound links they have to their site. It's different if a site already has a few strong backlinks than a site that has absolutely none, or they've engaged in a bit of black hat SEO and they've bought links and it's kind of backfired. Also their site structure, or maybe if they have a lot of programming errors. All that can really determine how long it will take. But like I said, we had this user who saw results in less than 3 months. So it's really, it's kind of impossible to predict, but that's why I think setting, really analyzing this, auditing this client or lead's website and taking all the factors that I said into account, you can probably give them a good estimate of how long it will take, but definitely don't feed their dreams of page one in less than a week. Not going to happen.
Right. That's a fair point. Okay. Another question, we're sort of similar, is what is the current thinking around how much money a small business has to spend to get results? Because there's always been a bit of debate of, can you really get results at very small budgets? Is there some sort of current thinking on what a threshold budget is for effective SEO for a very small business?
Interesting question. So I think we've seen that around, I think benchmark for, at least for agencies, for small or medium agencies, is around $500 a month, like the bare minimum that an SMB will get charged for local SEO managed services, meaning that someone else is going to do it for them. But I think if, it's a reality that a lot of SMBs are not going to have the budget, even if they know how important SEO is or local SEO is. I think with reviews, citations, and by that I mean listings, name, address, phone number, making sure they're all consistent, and really working on your Google My Business profile. Those are all actions you can do yourself. Either doing research or using a tool like MarketGoo, which kind of guides you through step by step, and that would really reduce costs. So I think it's definitely doable. But yeah, we've seen about like $500 a month, which can be pretty steep for some SMBs.
Right. Okay. Now, one more question, which is churn. I'm sure you love this question, but what drives churn in SEO, local SEO, small business SEO? What are and maybe it relates back to my first question of the amount of time it takes, but what are some factors that are going to lead to higher churn that are manageable from a partner's perspective?
I think, well, like you mentioned, expectations, definitely. Also, impatience, which ties into that, and a lack of perceived results. So I think one reason, like I mentioned, an SEO progress report that's easy to read works so well is because then you feel like you understand what you're getting for your money, or you understand where your website is progressing, or maybe if you've had a bad month, but it's all there laid out for you. So I think lack of perceived results or lack of perceived clarity from the side of the vendor are important churn drivers. And also, I think that can cause people to not see SEO tools or SEO services as essential when it comes time to renew them. I think all that is manageable with, especially with setting expectations and giving continuous progress reports, which explain the work that has been done and how the website is improving. I think that's definitely a step in the right direction on how to overcome the churn drivers.
Okay. All right. Well, I think that's all the questions we have. So I'm going to turn it back to Dara.
Thank you so much, Charles. And thank you so much, Larissa, as well, and the MarketGoo team. Great questions, great discussion. learned a lot. Thank you for putting this webinar together for us. It was very enjoyable. A few more things from Localogy before we end today's webinar. You will be able to view today's broadcast along with previous webinars on our website at localogy.com. You'll just navigate to research and resources and then click on webinars. And again, I will be emailing to all the registries and attendees, so you'll have that within 24 hours. Thanks so much for joining. Also, remember that we have our Localogy 2022 early bird tickets available now. The event will be in Los Angeles, California, April 25th through 27th, and we really hope to see you there. Again, thank you so much for joining us. Please sure to visit localogy.com and subscribe for updates to be the first to know about future webinars, and I hope everyone has a great day.
Thanks, you too.
Thank you.